Oh, Merry Christmas! Welcome to the Beat Around the Bench podcast about woodworking, good times, and general jackassery. With your hosts, Jess of Jess Build It, Colton of Cold Crit, and Ross of RNC Woodworking and Designs. You can find us all on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. In this week's episode, we gab it up like ladies who lunch. Jess takes us on a magical movie trivia foray. Colton makes his first Samurai Santa, and Ross plays around with paint guns. All of that and more is coming right up on this episode of the Beat Around the Bench podcast. Now for episode 81, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dogwood.
Very nice.
Ross,
Very
I feel like it was right there and you missed it. Isn't Tigerwood?
Yeah, but we've used Tigerwood like a few times, and I wanted to switch it up.
It could have been
Fair enough.
Dogwood,
Yeah.
Fair enough. Hey, it goes with the whiskey of the week too.
Awesome.
All right. Which we heard you sipping on right as he was doing the intro there.
I dropped my.
I'm interested to hear.
Thing.
So I want to apologize to our listeners last week. I know they missed me. I know that they did.
Absolutely.
But
I don't know how we made it without you, Jess.
Did you guys? I literally haven't even had a chance to listen to it. I don't know if you told listeners what happened or not, but
we did. We said that you had a pool in your kitchen where you weren't supposed to have a pool.
The long story is that I worked on my kitchen and got our cabinets in. Of course, get me cabinets, and I was so happy with it. Like I was just, and the house was pretty level where I needed it to be, and so the installation went well. It was a big thing. We had help putting them together. My wife got to put them together. Like it's been great. Got them together. We found this countertop company that had amazing prices for quartz, which is like indestructible. Mm-hmm. It's not the nicest, but it's not like solid surface or something. It's really nice. And I knew what I wanted, and he brought it. And the first sample he pulled out, and I said, "That's it." And it wound up being half of what I thought it was going to cost us. Well, I shouldn't say half, but a third of what I thought it might have cost us. To do it. And so we paid our deposit, and then we didn't even have cabinets in at the time. I just told them, I gave them a drawing. So they came out and templated, and then the check didn't get deposited. So I had a big check sitting out there. It didn't get deposited. And then the hurricanes hit. And as it turns out, during Helene, their place got flooded with all their water jets and like all that stuff. And it's all done with computers too. They didn't do like the normal like melamine, deal or whatever people do at Luan pieces. So the guy finally called us because we called several times. Like, I just want to know an answer. Like, you're a month behind, fine, whatever. Because I had cardboard on top of my cabinets, and which was kind of nice because if I got a messy, I could just flip them over. But beside the point. It was just getting time to be like, all right, we need an answer. So they finally found the check. As it turns out, it was kind of our fault because my wife forgot that was like a really old address on that old checkbook, even though it's still the right account number. And so they didn't it even had her maiden name on it. Like it was our joint, which said Dickerson. And so like they couldn't figure out where it went.
Yeah.
And so they just held on to it. And then eventually they found it and they put it in. And then the guy's like, I got equipment to work. Like they did cut the drywall out of the whole bottom half of the place deal. They got all the water out. Then like one piece of equipment would work and then it would break. And then he would be working on something else and then that one would break because of the salt water. And so like he finally got things moving, and he said, you're like 2 weeks from being cut and they should like install a day or two after. And he was true to his word. It took it was like a month and some change passed when we thought it was going to get installed. Because generally from the time that you call them, they'll come template in a week, and then they could put it in less than a week after that. They do a lot of countertops. And so, but what I will say is the job that they did is so perfect. I had a farm sink, and so they had to cut out because it has a space for cutting boards, little lip. Perfect. And so the next step was to put my sink in, my faucet in, and we haven't had a kitchen sink. no garbage disposal. We've been doing dishes in the utility sink in the lawn in the garage,
Hmm.
and I got it all put in, and I guess it had gotten replaced at some point, and there was a shark bite, or not a shark bite, a compression fitting. I keep saying shark bite. It's a compression fitting that was on there, and I guess when I put it on there, I kind of jiggled it, and it wasn't tight, or it had gotten twisted during all the demolition, and it had
Ooh.
leaked. But it didn't leak when I put the thing in. It leaked after we left, like the next day, and the trickle turned into a heavy trickle. That's all I ever got out of it. And all had soaked the cabinet and the floors when I got home. So I had shop vac here. I cleaned all that up. We put fans on it, and then I was able to go buy something and fix it. So it should be good now.
Hmm.
It has been. So
All right.
that,
Not having to involve insurance or
and I
anything?
got no, no, no,
Okay, good,
no.
good, good.
So I was, we have the vinyl floors and stuff. So as long as you get on it pretty quick, but yeah. So I got home late too. On top of that, so it was like okay. So that's why I missed the recording.
What an
Yeah. Well,
adventure.
glad to have you back.
What an
Mm-hmm.
adventure!
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Joyce
Colton, you
homeownership.
seem like you're chomping at the bit there. What's going on?
Yeah. So do you remember a handful of weeks ago, back on my pack out kit I'm building,
Yeah.
which I've got to use it on a few jobs now. It's I like it a lot. It's
Now,
really
just to
fun.
confirm, you had gone with was it the Flex boxes?
Yeah.
No, I went with rigid.
Rigid. That was it. Okay.
And okay, I guess so. Back on like the actual pack out like toolboxes, I I'm keep going back and forth with buyer's remorse. Like I wonder if I should have just gone with Milwaukee, but then I went and tried them out in the store, and they like the pieces, the drawers that I was messing with. They're surprisingly less rigid than I thought.
They were less
But
rigid than rigid.
yeah, but I don't know. I thought I was having buyer's remorse on the boxes, but I don't know. They're still doing pretty good. They're just heavy. Like I don't know how to get this stuff upstairs. It makes you want to get like the small like husky one, but I don't know. I'm still experimenting with that. But yeah, I got to go do it today on a touch up job. But
And how
but
was it having your own tools that weren't, covered in crap or dull or whatever?
yeah,
Missing.
exactly. Yeah, not missing. It was great. Which I mean, it's pretty simple. Like just replacing some veneer that had been messed up by a mover. So not too in depth today. But oh, so on labeling your tools, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
want to label every major tool that I'm carrying with me, right? And I am locking my case just to keep the what do you call it? The honest
Sticky
thief.
fingers.
Yeah, sticky fingers. It's like not even
Yeah.
that anyone would try to steal anything out of it.
Just
It's
use
just
it and
that
not put it
like,
back.
oh yeah, I just need to use this real quick, and then it doesn't
Forget
come
to put
back.
it back. Yeah.
Right. And but yeah, I just want to have my name on everything. What's a good way to do that? Like
I
I've
know.
seen
Wait,
some people like spray
I've got
paint
this one.
like the handles or yeah, what do you got?
Go ahead, Jess.
So my uncle Dan taught me this. He got an engraver or a Dremel because spray
Oh.
paint can come off, Sharpie come off, and put it so if it's battery, like underneath where the battery goes, and put your initials in there, engrave it in the plastic. Never come off.
I was going to say the laser etcher.
Yeah, yeah, something.
Oh. I wonder if my little 8-watt laser could.
Absolutely. It can
That
at
would
least
be
put your name on
sweet.
there.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Just a little, or just initials.
Mm-hmm.
I could do design
Yeah, I get
like
your logo.
or like a middle finger and like stay away from my tools.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Buddy, that's a great idea. That didn't cross my mind. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's going to be your most permanent method to do so.
I Sharpie all mine. I never did it. I've never had a big problem with it, but I write it like in a lot of different places, and so uh, it seems to be okay. But
Right on.
everything at the shop's mine anyway, so for the most part.
The simple method, if you want to go like quick and down and dirty, if you got a new tool and don't want to or don't have the chance to like run home and throw it on the laser, is different colored electrical tape. You can
Okay.
do like a quick band around, two different colors, like blue and yellow together is always going to be Colton's tool. and electrical tape typically doesn't
Mm.
come off, or at least buys you enough time before you can etch it.
We bought
Right.
those industrial Sharpies that are like chemical resistant.
Yeah.
They seem like they last a little longer than the other Sharpies do.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
might do a combo of that. Maybe like a bright yellow electrical tape, just so that it's very obvious that
Yeah.
it's my tool. You're not looking for an
Mm-hmm.
initial on it, but then also follow up with
That's
the
good.
either laser or Dremel.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll do that. Did y'all see the guy on TikTok who was dyeing his tools? Like
I've
like
seen
he
the
No.
would take
Jimmy.
off like the plastic housing and like deep through like dye it.
Oh,
Have
that's
you ever
so
Yeah.
seen
cool.
Jimmy DiResta's tool collection? He just spray paints all of it white.
Oh, there you go.
Doesn't matter what it is; it's just spray painted white, so that there is no branding on any of it. But then he puts his own DiResta spray
Gotcha.
paint logo on there.
Ah.
Yeah. Little stencil.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. My
Yeah.
dad used to do that with his scaffolding because they would walk off the job site. So it was all spray painted.
Scaffolding would walk off a job site.
Man, you go home if you got it all stacked up pretty, and you're gonna go take it someplace the next day. You come back and planks are missing, and
Oh,
frames
Mm.
are missing, braces are missing. Oh yeah, and it's
On that
expensive.
huh.
man, on that same note, I heard like say you are on a job site like that, for electrical cords, like in a few random places on it, wrap electrical tape on it.
Yeah.
And so it looks like it's been repaired
Right.
Yeah.
and less likely to be stolen.
I've heard of
Yes.
that.
I
Yeah.
think we've said that on here before, a while
Yeah.
back, maybe.
Dad said if you set the scaffold up, they're not going to take it down. But if it's just sitting there, we had them cut a lock and steal an old crappy compressor and some scaffold before,
Hmm.
like cut the chain and everything.
I'm not surprised on the compressor, but the
It was beat up.
scaffolding.
It was so
Who
old.
steals scaffolding? I guess.
Oh, scaffold's expensive,
Scrappers.
man. I could have been. I don't know. Another stucco company. They were worried about that kind of stuff. They would steal it. So
Hmm.
it all looked the same.
All
Man.
right. Well, gentlemen, I have some good news to share.
Oh yeah.
The Spalted Maple table is officially done.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
So do you have like pictures online and everything now?
I do
for sale?
have I have some video and stuff up on my Instagram profile so people can check it out. I do have to get some professional pictures. I have not had a chance to do that as of yet because I had to
You
jump
or the
right into the
table?
next project. Well, I mean both.
Yeah.
Wait, you gonna
Glamour
like hire
shots by
somebody to
Deb.
do it? You said professional? Or
I mean my wife has a professional camera that I can use.
oh, there
It's
you go. Yeah.
it's more of like a setting. Like I got to figure out where I can take it and set it up so that it looks correct. I have some
Mhm.
people who are like, you should put it out in a beautiful field. And I'm like, but why would a random, like, why would a table be out in a field? Like, that doesn't make any
Just stage
sense.
it in your house. It'd be perfect.
I did some of my photos like that for the website, with the cornhole boards. Like I just
Yeah.
with AI, like I just put it up in the
Yeah.
wall of my shop and then AI'd it into like a field. One of them
That-
was
The
a
one
field.
that we use. That
That,
one that we use works.
yeah, that may be a good idea. I didn't even think about that.
What was it? I told you guys about it. Ashley used it for a photo room or some photo something.
Yeah. Photo,
I did mine
worked.
with
Photo
Bazart.
booth? Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
Bizarre.
I like
And
Bazart.
we tried Bizarre, but that photo room, I think is what it was called. And it knew like it when we had the dog leash holders, it
Yeah.
knew it was a dog leash holder. It would hang leashes on it in the picture.
Huh.
Like you could lean against the table. We were leaning against the shop table, and it would superimpose the table under my hand and like put everybody around it. It was wild. It's
Huh.
like $6 for the program.
Well, maybe I will set up some really good lighting around the table in my shop and then
Yeah.
just AI it from there. That's a good idea. That'll save me a bunch
Yeah.
of time.
I carried
you
a
should
9-foot
send me
table
and-
to the beach once
Hmm.
with a girl to try to impress her. It did not go well. So she
Oh,
could take
man.
pictures of it.
I made this for you.
Oh my God. It was amazing.
Ross, you should send me and Jess the pictures of the table and see you can
Uh,
do the better background.
I would like you to get on it actually.
bring it
like
on.
in the
Okay.
George Costanza pose.
Okay, I'm totally down for that. As of
Me too.
should be Thursday next this week, the N3 Nano ceramic coating will be completely cured. I put 3 coats of the hard coat, 3 coats of the top coat, and it put this unbelievable, like, slightly
Like,
glossier satin sheen on there. It is, oh
so
god,
like
is
you
it
better hope it's
sexy.
sitting level. The plates will slide off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
but it just looks awesome. So I gotta get those pictures so that I can put it out there for somebody to buy. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. But I've already jumped into refinishing the cabinets in my kitchen. And Jess, I have a story about that for my nugget.
Okay.
Um, I guess I can share it now. You had told me a couple episodes ago to get an airless sprayer
Yes.
for spraying the cabinets. And I
Yes.
literally went to Home Depot and I was like, this is the model I need to get. And I'm showing the guy.
I sent you the bottle.
Yes, showed the pictures, I showed the extra tips and everything else. He was like,
They don't have the
I'm going to advise you against that one in
Okay.
lieu of the Graco version.
Of course. Yeah.
And the reason more so, he was like, I see one out of every three of these Wagners come back.
Okay. Sure.
He's like, the Gracos don't come back.
Okay.
He's like, people buy them
Yeah, they're
and
just a lot
they
more
are.
expensive.
The one I bought was only $20 more than the one you showed
How
me.
much? So what's the paint feed system?
It's a vacuum pump basically.
But like, how much can you do? The only reason I got that one is because I could put like 2 quarts of paint in it and spray. A lot of the Greycoats are big, and you got to have like 2 gallons of paint to even fill the hose before you can even spray. Does that make
So
sense?
yes, this one is a little bit smaller. It's basically the step up from the one that you showed me. And I did look at the Graco version of the one you showed
Well, you can
me.
get the tips easier with the
Yes,
Greyco.
exactly. So that's what I ended up going with. And I will say I have learned,
Listen to you.
and this was going to be part of my nuggets, but you cannot spray kills with a an airless gun because it's just
The
way
oil
too thick.
based,
It's
the
way too
oil.
thick.
Yeah, I wouldn't spray oil based with an airless anyway because I wouldn't have to clean it.
Yeah, so I mean,
Mhm.
there was that. Found that out the fun way. Um,
Yeah,
it
that's a lot of
also,
mineral spirits. Probably like $40 of mineral spirits to clean that.
yeah, yeah. So
And no,
decided
no,
against that.
you should use water
Um,
base.
yes. So with that in mind, but I did 2 coats of kills rolled on to all the cabinets and all
Sure,
the cabinet doors.
perfect.
And I ended up doing. I used a sprayer for the first time today because in my kitchen the sprayer was just too aggressive. There was just too much overspray on the
Right.
cabinet frames. So I
Okay.
ended up rolling the cabinet frames, like the face frames and the cabinet sides,
Okay.
which after I sanded them, it looked great. I did 2 coats, they're fine.
Perfect.
The cabinet doors I did today, and you can even see it in my stories if you guys want to check it, but it like perfectly flooded, like that perfect level
Yep.
on just that
Mm.
absolutely perfect cabinets. I will say, because they are red oak cabinets and they were almost 50 years old, when I sprayed them, they looked amazing. And now the tannins have come out of some of them. But
Yep.
if I do one more coat, that'll all be gone. I had done 2 coats of kills, but it happens. So I'm going to do another coat tomorrow, and that should take care of everything. So,
So a couple things. So the if you ever have to do something again where you know you're gonna have tannins or oil or grease,
mhm.
there's different types of oil based kills. And the one that like so there's one that they make for cedar,
Yep.
which goes through everything. It's like I think it's a gold color can kills. It's like
So I
it's
looked through
supposed to
all the
work.
different varieties of kills, and the reason I went with the original was because it had a lower odor, and I didn't want to have the crazy odor in the house when I was rolling it and putting it on. I will say it did a pretty darn good job. Um, I'm still not used to using primers like that. Like I will say also, I had told you before that I was putting on some of the cabinets, not all of them. I tested out putting the Gorks grain filler, the good filler grain filler
Yeah.
on.
Uh
The ones that I did that on, I had zero issues with tannins and
huh.
they came out like glass smooth.
Yeah.
And the other ones, you can still see the grain. I'm not mad at it. Just it was a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
But when I went to clean the cabinet doors, trying to clean off 50 years worth of cooking grease when my grandma used to cook with lard and stuff in this kitchen,
Yes.
that it splattered all over. Like, dude, the the grease that I got off of these cabinets, I had to use a razor blade to like get off the layers of it
S-
before I could sand it.
So
Oh,
the
did you
other
strip it? You didn't
Uh,
strip.
I did not strip it. I left the finish on there to hopefully keep some of the tannins subdued.
Okay.
So in the future, shellac on the little spots will seal out just about anything. So if you
Okay.
prime it and then you got your little yellow spots, you can
Mm-hmm.
just hit it with a couple coats of shellac real quick and it dries like in a second. The
Hmm.
other thing is that if you're gonna spray, I mean, I guess you can spray that oil-based stuff, but it's just too much trouble for me to clean it out. And so I use 123. It's
Mm-hmm.
also sold. It's a Zinsser makes it one, two,
Yeah.
three, and it'll stick to just about anything. But it doesn't stain block. I don't think as good as Kills does. Even the Kills. I mean, yeah, Kills is thick,
Yeah.
super thick.
Super thick, and it did not want to go through the sprayer.
No, and
So
so when I first got the little sprayer that we were talking about, it it came with like a five. So they're in numbers, right? Like
yeah,
512, 515, 516, and
and
then
I
there's
did
like two
learn.
200s, 300s, 400s. The 5 was like made for a house. It was super wide and too much paint. And then the 2 like 12, 13 was really narrow, which was good, but it was made for like stains, so it was a smaller hole. And
Hmm.
so there was like this balance of fan pattern. The first number is the fan pattern, and the
Yes,
second number is like the orifice hole size. So
yes.
and then you can spray. So I think the 300s, but you have to spend $40 or $50 on another tip, and then you have to kind of like dial all that in.
So I did learn the in the numbering of the tips for an airless gun. The first number, as you said, is the fan pattern
Yeah.
and or the spray pattern, and you have to double that number, and that is how wide of a spray it's going to be.
Okay. That's how it works for
Which
the gray cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so I thought that was an interesting tidbit to throw out there.
Not the
Yeah.
Wagner's not like that. Like a 5 sprays like 12 to 16 inches wide, and it's like a completely different system. I sent you that little list,
Yeah. And that's
and
literally what I took to the guy at Home Depot. But this guy, he had like 20 plus years of painting and
oh
cabinet
yeah,
knowledge.
absolutely.
And I
Wagner's are
was
bad about
like,
breaking.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
he was like, if you're spending the money and there's only a $20
I
difference,
have never seen that small gray coat. I would have bought that instead because
it
I've
was
used
the
gray coats my whole life.
it is the Graco Magnum. I will send you a
Ooh.
link to it
Okay,
just so you can see it, but it's done
so
pretty well. Today was the first time like I finally figured out you have to prime it, you have to do all sorts of
yeah,
stuff
yeah, yeah, yeah,
beforehand,
yeah,
and that steps just wasn't used to with an HVLP. And the other
yeah.
thing is you use a lot less paint in an HVLP. I probably went through a half gallon painting 15 doors today.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
that's also about that spray tip size too, because
Yes.
we were going through paint like crazy. Since we switched to the smaller tip and the water based stuff, it hasn't been as bad. But I mean, if you had rolled it, it would have taken like a quart, right?
Yeah.
So you're trading off with convenience with loss of paint,
Yes.
for sure. But yeah, Graco. My problem always with the Gracos is that they're made for like painting a house and not painting furniture. At least they
Hmm.
used to be. And so like it had like a tube you would stick in a 5 gallon bucket. Well,
That's what this
sometimes
one
I only
has.
needed to buy one little quart of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so,
Oh,
and then the
yeah.
hose would be like 50 feet long. So like you'd pump it and you would have used up all the paint that you really needed and it was in the hose. Like there was no paint left. And then
There
I
was
will
no
tell you
back
one trick.
pressure to get it out either.
Right. So I will tell you one trick too, is if you want to save that paint that's in the line,
Spray
if you
that
go
back into the
put
paint
some
can.
water in there and use water to push it through, you'll start to see it change colors and then stop. And you
Yep.
can spray that back into
So it's the let's see, Graco Magnum Project Painter Plus.
Project Painter Plus. Very nice. So
Yeah.
does it have a hopper or no? It's just
Uh
got a little tube.
it just has the tube.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll send you the
Okay.
link right now. But I will say the finish that it's left so far has been fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
curious to see tomorrow going back after everything is dried what it all looks like. But I can tell you it was I was very pleased, and if I was able to get that caliber of finish on any of the stuff I had done before, I would have been very pleased, especially Colton, where having to do white on like built-ins. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's a
I
long
will
time before
I
I do
will
white
tell you
again.
with the airless, one thing I've had happen, what you have to realize is that it is pressurizing, which can't be done, liquid.
Yes.
And the hose is basically stretching. That's really what's happening. And there's like 1,500 to 2,000 psi in that stupid little hose.
Whoa.
And so if your little tip gets stuck, you get a clog, you can turn it around
Yeah.
and it'll flip backwards and you spray out the back of the tip and then
Yeah.
you unclog it like that. But if something happens and it like gets stuck, boy, you better take that someplace to try to like screw with it and pull it out because it will just poof,
Hmm.
a big splatter of paint will come out of the tip of it, because that pressure doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't go anywhere unless you like prime it with the pump off. There's a way to do it, but yeah, there's like massive pressure in those things. They're dangerous, actually.
Yeah. It was interesting, but I was thankful that you were able to throw it my way. So thank
Yeah.
you for the recommendation.
Yeah.
I got a question. So we always see Fuji at our at Workbench Con, right?
Hmm.
How do y'all think Fuji ranks compared to Graco as
I
far as
So,
think
sprayer?
Fuji's good for light, for thin down paint.
and I would
Okay.
That's what I
also
think it's
say
good for.
more for like finishes, like spraying polys and spraying lacquers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's much better for that than it would be for paint. Like
Okay.
this one, I paid what I paid for it, and it was only about $20 more than what Jess had said for the Wagner. On this project alone, technically it would pay for itself. If I have to paint any other like built-in or any other set of cabinets or something, it's going to be a no-brainer. So,
Yeah, I mean the thing with the airless is it's made to spray thick paint. That's it.
yes.
It was originally made for houses, right? Yeah, I've sprayed elastomeric, which is even thicker than Kills with an airless. Don't thin it down or nothing. But it's a pain to clean them. You really have to take your time to
Yes.
clean them. An HVLP gun, like you thought, I mean, it's like super easy to clean, right?
Yes.
There's nothing to do.
Super easy.
So it's all a trade off.
I feel like the Fuji is a combination of the HVLP and the airless.
Yep.
As far as the amount of product used, it's closer to an HVLP and it's finer like an HVLP. But the airless, by far, if you're doing volume or if you're doing a full paint spray, it's awesome.
So the Fuji's to me, it's like, in order to run a paint gun with an air compressor, you have to have an air compressor, number one, and you have to have a pretty substantial air compressor in order to run it. Not everybody has room for that or can
Yes.
afford that. The Fuji's all in one. It's got the turbo thing and
Hmm.
all that. It's all built into one. So I think it's a great thing for people that paint furniture.
Yes.
Everybody seems to like them.
Yeah. They put
Yeah.
out a very pro finish. So,
Yeah. Today I was actually assigned to, or Rick asked me to take apart our old Kremlin
like
sprayer.
you're
Like
taking
the
down
Russian
communism.
prison.
No, it's actually our nicer sprayer, but yeah, I'm like looking up like schematics and stuff for it.
Right.
Nice.
I think it might just need new seals and stuff, but
New
they quit working
gaskets.
on it. Yeah. So Kremlin, I guess y'all have never heard that.
No.
Like I think
Yeah, it's
it's
the
it,
gulag.
the
No.
Sames Gremlin, like SAMES. But I guess it's air assisted airless, technically, or like air
Hmm.
mix is what it is, I
Okay.
guess. But I don't know. I'm crash course learning on that and trying to reverse engineer and figure this thing out. But
Hmm.
One day I'll start spraying like real professionals do with catalyzed conversion, varnish, stuff like that. It's like on my cabinets.
hmm
I want to learn it because I'm like reading the specs and it's like catalyzed and this and that. And I'm like, man, look at this finish. Like, and I don't know about you guys, but I have used the sun out of my cabinets and dirty fingers on them and
Hmm.
slam doors and like bump them with dishes when you get them out. And they're fine. They're fine. Nothing
Yeah.
comes off. And the finish is so pretty. It's the best satin, on commercial stuff that's sprayed. But I don't have the setup for it. I don't have the room
yeah,
for it.
I think some
I
of
will
those you
one
need like
day.
a room too.
Yeah, you do, I think. It's a
And
lot of chemicals in it.
yeah, We got in trouble this week for that, actually. So,
Not spraying in a room.
yeah, no, well, too much of our fumes got into the rest of the warehouse. So,
Mm.
we partner up our warehouse. Like we're in
Yeah.
half of the warehouse, the other half is our sister company, right? It does like textiles and all that jazz. But we smoked them out accidentally. Like so they just came in this week and they're leveling our floors, right? So they're
Hmm.
like drilling a hole all the way through, putting foam down there, and literally raising up these concrete floors by inches, right?
Hmm.
Down here in Houston, everything's washed out below it. They said ours was pretty bad, one of the worst they've seen. But but yeah, so with that, our doors to the shop don't close exactly right now,
Yeah.
and which we fixed that today. I brought the handheld electronic
Cleaner.
hand plane,
Nice.
and yeah, so we got it fixed up, and we even put like little sealers to keep even extra air out. But oh no, what do you call them? Door sweeps.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, but yeah, so this was before we fixed the door. There was like a crack going out, and I guess it was just enough. And we had like the bay doors open,
Hmm.
and so there's sucking all like our lacquer fumes in there,
Hmm.
and caused a
Which is
whole
pretty
bunch of
strong.
drama. Yeah,
Hey, speaking of your shop, did your friends at OSHA ever come back?
no, they haven't. Thank goodness. I
How about that?
I was joking about Rick. So we have all these vaults, right?
Hmm.
And they're all made of like out of 2x4s and plywood, right?
Yeah.
And it's where we like store furniture. When you see me store it, I was like,
Like the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. It feels like that walking through it. But I was like, Rick, we should set whenever we do know OSHA's coming, or if we do, we should just park a vault right in front of our door, so maybe they just don't know we're there and just kind of go
Turn off all
by.
the lights and everybody be quiet.
Try to hide, like everyone, shut the heck up. but no, they never came. But it was time consuming, but it was good practice,
Good.
to like reevaluate safety and like have designated areas for stuff, and like we got an eye wash station and all that jazz. Lots of
Okay.
signage, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, obviously you learned something back then, and I don't know about you guys, but I would love to learn something this week.
Yeah.
You guys down for that?
Let's
Sure.
go.
The wood of the week.
All right. This is a wood that seems like it would be near and dear to Ross's heart for that particular hat he's wearing today.
Hmm.
This week's wood of the week, I have never used it, but I have seen the trees, and it has a really good memory. And I'll tell you why I thought of this. This week's wood of the week is aspen.
Nice.
Aspen. So I went on for my graduation. My dad took me to from high school took me on a surprise trip to Colorado, and which was where I was born in Denver. And he took me to this one place he knew to go, and there was other people parked there, but it was in fall, and the aspen leaves were changing, and that smell I can smell
Hmm.
that sweet, beautiful smell. And so I thought I would do it on aspen this week. As it turns out, not really for furniture at
They're
all.
they're pretty thin. Like they
It's
don't get to
very
be very
soft.
big trees.
Well,
Really?
there's three different types of aspen that I found.
Okay.
And I did not know this. And I'll also tell you something else about it. I figured you guys would have been making Dumb and Dumber jokes already, but all right. So
In the land of
the
cool blue
go-
waters.
so it's very soft, 420-pound, like
Ooh.
Jenka, very, very soft, like way softer than poplar, softer than pine, like it's ultra super soft. Populus is the scientific name, populus, and this particular one, the quaking aspen, uh, tremuloids. And so there's a quaking aspen and there is a big tooth aspen.
Hmm.
Both have to do with the leaves. So the quaking aspens, it looks like the leaves are like quaking and shimmering in the wind
Yep.
because they're almost kind of like
They're like
sparkly.
they're like
Yeah.
silver on one side almost.
Yeah. And so they call those the
Oh.
quaking aspen. And then the big tooth aspen, same thing. That those particular aspens have a lot more knots in them as well, and there's like a big hook tooth on the leaves.
Yes.
So that one, right? And then there's one more, which is a European aspen, and so they're quite beautiful. Interestingly enough, the Utah in 2014 changed their uh, state tree from the Colorado blue spruce to the aspen, which it had been the Colorado blue spruce since 1933, and then they changed it. I don't know.
Well, number one, to be fair, there are not a ton of Colorado blue spruces left
Right,
in Utah. Most of the trees you see are aspens in Utah.
right. And so it is one of those things that like it's a very specific smell if you've ever smelled an aspen tree, and it's quite nice. But as I was reading through all of this, like I mean, the Jankas are in the 300s to low 400s, all of them. So
Yeah.
we're talking super soft.
Yep.
And I started doing a little more research. They make more, as sad as this is, boxes, crates, plywood, and like, I guess some veneers. Utility, it's a utility wood.
Yep.
Like straight up, it's a utility wood because it's just so soft. So it's easy on the saws. It's not, doesn't have any structuralness to it at all. But since it is so soft, it's great for
Carving.
acoustics.
Oh.
Well, for carving, yes, exactly. Which is just what they do to the back, like a violin or whatever. And so this can be used in the structure of things because it's around like the spruce kind of deal, and they'll make for its resonance that those softer, thinner woods that are easier to carve to use it in some, but mostly boxes, crates, veneer, and plywood. That's like what I read on all.
So I will say two things. The majority of wine boxes are actually made of things similar to whether it's poplar or aspen or very soft woods, because it's really easy to form it to what they need to do the joinery, and it swells pretty easy. So it retains the moisture and keeps the wine better for travel.
Right. Absolutely.
And then number two, my majority of interaction with aspen trees is actually snowboarding amongst aspen fields, and it is some of my favorite memories riding the hill. So
Yeah.
definitely have
So
a lot of great memories in aspen groves.
The reason I thought of it is just side note is because we were just talking about like fond memories as a kid. Like my dad had a boat, but like boats like are really expensive.
They are.
You always have to like throw money into them, and this was one of my other fond childhood memories. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. So I said populus, right?
Correct.
Like poplar. So they're all these are all populus trees. White poplar, balsam poplar, eastern cottonwood, big tooth aspen, black poplar, quaking aspen, black cottonwood. All populus trees, all the same family. So they're all that soft, fuzzy kind of wood.
Yeah.
And that same type of grain, all the same thing.
I hate cottonwoods, but I've been told they make beautiful furniture out of them.
Do they? Yeah, I think we did cottonwood. Actually.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Jess, did you see anything about health risk?
So it does talk about allergies on all of this, and it said it's what it says on all of them for the most part. Besides the standard health risks associated with any type of wood, no further health risks have been set by the Wood Allergies and Toxicity or Wood Dust Safety Council. Blah blah blah. So nothing on any of them. I know that the finer, powderier ones sometimes just get in your lungs easier if you're not wearing a mask. Like, what was that one we talked about the other week? Monkey pod. Monkey pod doesn't have anything in it, but it just turns into a powder.
But it does look like it makes some beautiful tables.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But everybody has to wear a mask in the shop when we would sand it.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's this week's Wood of the Week, aspen.
I like it.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Where the beer flows like wine.
This is true.
Well, do we have Jess, I know you said earlier, before we started recording, you are super excited about today's trivia.
I kind of am.
Let's get after it. Better get on out that knowledge, cause it's trivia time.
All right, so my wife was the inspiration for this, although it wasn't exactly direct. So this is
The Ashley game.
this is trivia questions. Now listen to me very carefully. This is trivia questions that have something to do with construction, wood, trees, woodworking, something along that way. Okay.
So,
And I am going to
everything.
give you the stars of the movie that it has to do with. So it can either be in the name, be about the plot, or be about like the main like a big part of the movie, right? And so I've got everything from the year that it was made and the main stars. I'll give you that first, okay? And if you don't get it by then I'll give you a couple more things about it. And then if you don't get it by then, I'll start giving you some other hints. Okay.
All right.
Now
we go at the same time.
Some of
Okay.
these like were really shots in the dark. So then I had to get a little more, like, I don't know how to say this, but like, it's a little more difficult to arrive at the answer, but you'll see. You'll see.
Okay.
This will be fun. You might be able to get it. Forget about the woodworking thing. You might be able to get it just without it. This first one is an older movie. Okay. This one does have something very specific in the title of the movie. And it's a 1994 film starring Johnny Depp and Martin Landau. And I'll give you the plot. It follows the life of a filmmaker known for his low-budget productions and his friendship with an aging horror movie star. You might not know this movie. This is a tough one. It'll get easier after this. Don't know.
Any other clues?
It was directed by Tim Burton, and it's a biographical comedy drama that explores the eccentric life of this filmmaker's name, which is also the title of the movie, dubbed the worst director of all time. It won an Academy Award.
All I can think of is Edward Scissorhands, and I know that's not.
Oh,
it.
you're really close. It's Ed Wood. That's the name of the movie. Ed Wood.
I've never seen that.
I have never seen it either.
I don't know. I kept thinking Pulp Fiction, even though it doesn't match anything.
Okay, so this is one where you got to like kind of think outside the box. All right,
Okay.
This is fun, and I know you've seen it, Ross, and you may have seen it too, Colton. Anybody with kids will have seen this. All right, this is a 2012 animated film series. Features the voice of Zac Efron and tells the story of a young boy seeking to find a real tree in a world devoid of nature.
Oh, I
Animated.
Give me
I'm at a
another
loss,
clue.
man. Oh.
I'll give you a clue.
Yep.
You ready for the clue? This is a big clue. Dr. Seuss.
Oh, the Lorax. What is the
The
Lorax?
Lorax.
Ah, there we
That is
go.
correct. Yeah, the little tree in there. See? All right. It's a roundabout way of getting to it. Okay.
The Zac Efron part is what threw me off.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, wait, who's
He's in
that?
there.
Is he the
But
main
Danny
character?
DeVito is the Lorax. He does the voice of the actual Lorax.
right.
Wait, does it really?
Yeah.
I can see that.
You won't know that one. Okay, this one's another roundabout one. You ready? 2414 film. Chris Pratt voices a character who teams up with a sentient tree-like creature to save the galaxy.
Where's Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians.
Groot.
Nailed it.
That's right. That's right. Groot. Yes. Guardians of the
I am
Galaxy.
Groot.
That's right. Okay. This is Colton's favorite movie. Are you ready? All right. 2005 film stars Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal as two cowboys who develop a complex relationship.
Brokeback Mountain?
Yes, that is correct. That is right. It involves constructing sheep enclosures,
Dang it. It's not going to be the only one I get.
highlighting elements of woodworking.
I do enjoy that you're like, Colton's going to know this one.
Oh, dang it.
Okay, this one's like back to the basics here of of woodworking. 2000 film. Tom Hanks, FedEx employee.
Castaway.
Castaway. God,
Castaway.
you got it.
That's right. His ingenuity to build shelter, tools, and a raft. Right? Made something on there with palm trees. Okay. Here we go. This is a 2006 animated film featuring the voice of Bruce Willis, Gary Shanding, and animals who awaken from hibernation to find a suburban neighborhood encroaching on their forest.
2006. Is
I'll give you
open season?
No, that is incorrect. Good guess.
Zootopia?
No, that's incorrect. All right, I'll give you another guess.
Ferngully.
My favorite scene in this is when the squirrel drinks the energy drink and like basically can walk past like light. He's like walking by lasers.
You got me on this one.
You got me. I don't know.
Over the Hedge.
Oh.
Over the
Yeah.
Hedge. Yeah. Oh, that's
I don't
really
think I
good.
ever watched that one.
Okay, so this one's like a little more like forest environmental. Okay, a lot of it takes place in the forest though. 2012 film. Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, she's a young woman. She stars in a dystopian future, and she uses her archery and survival skills
What is the Hunger Games?
to a death match.
Oh,
That is
I was holding my
correct.
fingers out.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
They use forest environments for survival tactics.
So strangely enough, I don't know if you've ever seen it. There was a movie made in like 2006 in Japan called Battle Royale, and it's literally the exact same concept as the Hunger Games.
Okay.
Basically, the teenage population in Japan was getting too uppity, so they literally select a random grade at a high school, at any random high school in Japan, and they just chloroform all of them, take them to this island, and it is a battle to the death, and everybody watches it on TV. And then literally 6 years later, the Hunger Games came out and had like this massive success. But if you go look up Battle Royale, it is a much more graphic version of that same.
Is there like
type
lots
movie.
of special effects or no?
Oh no, it's just straight up like gore.
Kids killing each other.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I love like thriller concept movies like that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a movie I've never seen. I know about it though. 2012 film starring Robert Redford. He's a man stranded alone on a damaged sailboat in the Indian Ocean, battling the elements to survive. And the
Life
reason
of
that he's
Pi.
on this list, you're close. You're close. The reason he's in this is because he repairs his wooden vessel. You might not have seen it.
I don't know.
The name
Castaway
of the movie,
2. He gets a boat.
All is
No.
Lost. All is Lost.
No.
Robert Redford. I want to see it now.
That
Okay,
question
here's-
was lost. Yeah.
Here's the last one. Big stretch. Okay? Big stretch, but you'll know the movie. So
Forrest Gump.
2010 film. By the way, awesome movie. Leonardo DiCaprio leads a team of thieves who enter the dreams of others
Inception.
to steal secrets. That is correct.
Wait, how is that one involved?
Because the Inception features intricate dreamscapes that require the characters to design and build elaborate structures.
Oh, it's still building. Okay, cool.
Mind.
I got you.
Yes, with
Mhm.
their mind. Very good, guys. That was fun.
That
You
was
guys did a
fun.
good job.
I enjoyed
Ross, you
that.
crushed it.
No, I only beat you by
Yeah.
one.
Well, Ross is
there
always
we go.
doing the movies and stuff. So,
Yeah.
what's the name of that movie?
Which one?
Forrest
The
Gump?
one with the Japanese kids
Oh,
killing each other.
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
Okay.
Yeah, just think of a Royale with cheese. And then you
Royale.
got
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said Pulp
Very
Fiction
good.
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, who's ready to start drinking now that we're talking
Woo!
about
You guys.
Japan?
Showtime! Woo, 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 woo.
The whiskey of the week.
The whiskey of the week coming into this week, hailed from the country of Japan, and it is the Akashi White Oak Blended Whiskey. Colton, were you able to procure it and did it dandy?
So I was not able to get the Akashi. I
Okay.
tried a lot of stores and wasn't able to get it. However, I
One store.
did try to stay in suit. So the Akashi is a Japanese finished in white oak
Correct.
uh,
Blended whiskey.
blended whiskey. Yeah, and they at like Total Wine they keep it in the Scotch aisle.
Yes. Yep.
And so I went with another Japanese whiskey. I went with Shibui. It's kind of fun to say, but Shibui, grain select, and they do finish it in an oak, but it is a Mizunara oak.
Yeah, Mizunara.
Yeah, and which I think that should be our wood of the week sometime.
Check it out.
It is a very prized oak in the world of whiskey and beverage finishing.
Yeah, send me the spelling of it. Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, and so I really wish I would have got the Akashi. I found some places that have it, but they're like on the other side of town
Oh,
in Houston. And like I was able to see Total Wines. Apparently, they only have one store that has it like around Houston. And so I mean, we could bring it back, but I wish I had gone with that one because this one was interesting. So it being a Japanese whiskey, it's very light in color. Like even the smell, it's like clean, but like really fruity.
okay.
And then on the palate, it's like overwhelming coconut.
Really?
Yeah, not like they flavored it coconut, but I'm just saying it's like that's all I can taste is coconut, but then stabs. It's like picture this whiskey. It's like a little coconut and like a ninja headband with a saber, and he's like a little guy, and he's just like "Wah!" Like yelling and trying to hit you, and you're just like chill out, dude.
That actually
Like, what's
reminds
going
me.
on?
Have you ever seen the movie Moana?
Yeah,
There are these like I guess like angry villagers that are super tiny that use coconuts as their like armor. And so
Yeah.
they put on like war paint and everything, but they're in coconuts trying to attack everybody and they're like super violent pirates. That's what this
Right.
reminds me of.
Yeah, right. That's what it reminds me of. Yeah, that's a great personification. It like I feel like so there was some higher shelf Shibui, but it was like high enough to where it's like behind a glass case,
Okay.
like $1.50, and
It seemed
I
like a
feel
little
like this.
much.
Yeah, I feel like this whiskey would be a lot better if it just sat some more time
Okay.
in a barrel.
Okay.
But I did do something, so it sounds like blasphemy.
All right.
I mixed it with a soda.
Like a soda water or like squirt?
Like I mixed
Squirt.
it with the Sprite, but not just regular Sprite, with the winter spiced cranberry.
That
Right?
sounds awful. Like
Right.
that Sprite on its own sounds awful.
Oh, the Sprite on its own, dude, you gotta try it. It tastes like Christmas. It really does. Like it's like a winter spiced cranberry, and yeah, I actually love the soda on its own. You got try
Yeah.
it before you bash it.
Hey,
buddy.
look,
No, just
look,
kidding.
I'm
But-
drinking ginger ale. Fruit splash.
Oh yeah, with the fruit splash. Yeah. So
Cranberry.
Larry loves to mix that with vodka. But yeah,
Good for Larry.
that exact one. But yeah, so surprisingly though, like with the Sprite and like the little bit of the winter spice and the cranberry being very light, with going with the
Okay.
coconut, it kind of balanced it out to a drinkable cocktail,
Okay.
right? Like
What would you
I-
name the cocktail?
I would name it the Samurai Santa.
Oh,
Yeah.
is
That's
quick.
fun.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, the Samurai Santa is the name of it. But so
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Exactly.
oh, I was nailed it. But it
Elevator
actually kind of worked
slogan.
out. Like the coconut and the winter spice kind of went together. I know those are like opposite seasons. It's like the Aloha Samurai Santa, right? But it actually played out decent. It was the only saving grace. Like, I hate to beat down on Shibui, but it was only saving grace for this whiskey.
How much was it?
And it's coming in at like 36 and change.
Oh, so not even
And
cheap.
so,
I mean,
Yeah.
that is pretty cheap in the
oh
world.
no,
of whiskey.
that's pretty cheap. Yeah.
Oh,
I was between Shibui and the Shin. And one thing cool about Shibui though is that it's they don't outsource any other grains like from Scotland or anything. Like,
Okay.
they're all from all the grains are from Japan. And
That's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. But yeah,
So what would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, This one's getting a four.
Hmm.
That's
Four.
high.
It
Yeah.
this was probably the last time I'll drink it.
Okay. That's fair.
Like honestly, like unless someone gives it to me, I think it's the last time I drink it.
All
But
right.
it was interesting. Oh, also while I was at the liquor style, um, like because I taught us they had a specialist there, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking to him like it's like all right, so we don't have the Akashi, looking for something else. He recommended the Shibui or the Shin, and in hindsight, that's surprising that he recommended this to me now. But maybe there's something I'm missing in it. I don't think so though.
Okay.
But but yeah, so we went and tried another two whiskeys while we were there, and Isle of Skye.
Yes, I do.
So I had never heard of it, but apparently it was hard to get in the States for a while.
Yes.
But so we went back and we tried the 18 and the 21, I want to say,
Okay.
or maybe the 23.
I have not tried
And
those age statements.
that one was wonderful, right?
Excellent.
Like most aisles, like you start with Lefroy, right? What Crystal calls cough medicine. And these like that cough medicine taste, if you will, was only like a hint in the background.
So
And they were
I,
like
I will say
rounded.
in the outer islands of Scotland, Islay is the one that uses the most peat to dry out any of their barley. That's where they get that specific tone from. As you get further north
Mhm.
and farther away from the southwest corner of Scotland, where Islay is, you tend to get a lot more like a windswept kind of a feel. And by the time you get all the way up to the Shetlands and up to the Orkneys, where Highland Park and Scapa are at, up in the Scapa Flow, you get some really light whiskeys that are just absolutely astounding.
Right on. And
Hmm.
so the 23, well, I guess with it being so old,
Hmm.
it would kind of lose some of that lightness, right?
You'd be surprised. The difference is for Scotch whiskey in particular. In As we've talked about a few times over the past few years, whiskey in general, when it gets to 40 degrees Fahrenheit and below, the pores of the oak tighten up so much that they no longer breathe. They no longer mature the whiskey. It's literally just like the same as having it in a plastic barrel. So in Scotland, you have roughly 6 months of the year that is at or above 40 degrees Fahrenheit. You probably have 3 months that are well below, and 3 months that are right around that during the day. They come up above 40, down below it into the freezing territory at night. So you have a very limited window, especially depending on where you're at in Scotland as far as the aging process. So
You say that was
usually
Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit as far as
Okay.
the temperature. But when you get to Scotland in general, if they know they are putting away product into a barrel that they're going to deem to be 25-year-old plus whiskey, they will typically put that into a third fill barrel in Scotland. So, um, American oak is used obviously for aging bourbon. You can only use it one time legally, and then they can no longer use it for aging whiskey in the bourbon community, which is why it gets sold to Ireland and Scotland, Mexico, Japan, all kinds of places. And
Breweries, yeah.
so a lot of times, let's say it's a 10-year-old bourbon barrel and it was used for aging bourbon for 10 years. They ship it over to Scotland. And then the first time they use it in Scotland, it's probably a 12-year-old barrel, which means it's now a 22-year-old barrel. And it takes 12 years to get the same flavor it did in 10 years in the US. Then they will rechar the barrel and refill it in Scotland for a second time. And it could take 25 years to get the same flavor it did in 12, which means at that point you're at a, what is that, 47-year-old barrel. And then
That's
the
wild.
third time they fill it, they know that there's not as much flavor left in there. So they rechar it one more time and refill it and have it sit upwards of 50 years. You're going to have to, let's say you fill 100 barrels. At 50 years, you've lost half that stock just due to evaporation. So you consolidate the barrels down to now have 25 full barrels. And at that point, what you're going to start to find is something that's going to go to the 50-plus-year-old range. um, that's already a well over 100-year-old barrel that they've been using. If you look back all the way to the American time frame, so it can still be very, very light at that 50-year-old mark. It's not going to be like in bourbon country where something that sat for 20 years is just so barrel heavy. By the time you get to the 35 plus age statement on whiskeys and scotches, you're getting a pretty light whiskey at that point.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you think it smells good whenever they rechar?
Yeah. So basically, all they do, like after they dump the barrel, they open up the ends and they scrape the insides just to get any loose particles off. And then they put it on the machine that it's a massive flame that chars the inside again.
So cool looking.
And what they're starting to do now is actually infrared. They infrared heat the outside of the barrel to push some of those characteristics, the sugars that are still left trapped in the wood. They push that closer to the center of the barrel, and then they char it, and so it captures more of the flavor profile.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Fancy.
if you've ever sat out on an outdoor patio where they have infrared heaters rather than just convection heaters that kind of just push the heat at you, the infrared ones are supposed to almost warm up your cells like a microwave would, which is kind of creepy to think of, but
Yeah, sounds healthy. Yeah.
yeah.
No.
But yeah, that's what's going on there. So
Interesting. That's some science. That's some tech.
it is. So yeah, that is the whiskey of the week for this week. And going into next week, the whiskey of the week, Colton, because you are in Houston and because this whiskey also, the creator of it, also hails from Houston. The whiskey of the week going into next week is the Sir Davis American whiskey, which is Beyonce Knowles' new whiskey. The mash bill is 51% rye, 49% malted barley.
Yeah. Sounds good. So the Sir Davis American.
Yep, Sir Davis American whiskey. Now, I have not tried this one as of yet. You will be the first one on this podcast to try it, but I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are as somebody who loves them some rye. Technically, this is a rye whiskey, but that's an awful lot of barley in with some rye. So it's going to be an interesting like Scotch rye mix. I'm curious to see what you think.
That's interesting. Like,
So
is it still a bourbon?
it is not a
Or is
bourbon. It
it's
is an
not a
American
bourbon?
whiskey because there is no corn.
American.
It has to be at least 51%
Oh, that's
corn.
right. That's right.
So this is
Interesting.
technically a rye whiskey, but it is a very low rye whiskey rather
Do you
than
know
a
where
high
it's
rye.
distilled?
I do not know. I would assume it probably came out of MGP, but I
Mhm.
do not know the specifics.
Very
So,
well.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, before we jump into the nuggets, I am going to give you guys each a little bit of homework, as to the listeners out there as well.
Okay.
The next
I'm
episode.
sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Well, no, this will be a fun one to think about. So, to all the listeners out there, and to you gentlemen as well, the next episode that we do will be the last one before Black Friday. And why that is important to know, there are tons of different tools and amazing sales that happen on Black Friday, some of which have already started. But I want you guys to find and make your own list, and I'll do the same, the top 5 things you would want in your shop that are Black Friday deals. And we can talk about them next
That would be
So I'm
awesome
not going to have
knowledge
any
to
like big
share.
Black Friday deals, but I will tell you every Black Friday, I always look at because like especially the big box stores, they'll make something just for that store for Black Friday.
Mhm.
Like it's a different model number.
Yes.
You know, it'll be like packs of compressors with guns for like, cheap.
Mhm.
But I always buy like their screwdriver sets, their
Yes.
pliers sets, and then like I've got one in the trailer, I got one at the house because like the crescent wrench sets, and they're like nice and they're
Yes.
cheap.
So
Super cheap.
I
Throw 'em
know
in
right
packs.
now, for instance, the reason that it brought this up, I had to go to Lowe's earlier today, and they had a bunch of their Black Friday kind of things like that, Jess, already out, and they had brand new sets of screwdrivers, which most people are like, oh, I have screwdrivers at home. It's not a
Yeah,
bad thing to have like 4 or 5 sets of screwdrivers in different spots. As you said, one in the truck, one in your go pack, your pack out rig, Colton. You need one
Yeah.
at the shop, you need one at the house. And like having extra set of screwdrivers for the $14 or whatever it costs is not going to hurt you.
I'm going to tell you something I got at a Black Friday that is something that I'm like, I'm going to get this. I feel like I might use it. And excuse me, it's one of those things that I use like on the daily that
Mhm.
I had no idea is a hook set. It's
A
like
hook
little
set?
hooks. It's like little hooks and like
You play pirate? Like,
punches. Yeah, you can. There's like big hooks, little tiny itty bitty hooks for like pulling stuff out.
okay.
There's awls in it,
Hmm.
and you get like a little tool and a spring is stuck, and you get the little hook and
Oh,
get it
it's
out of
almost like
there.
dental tools kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. But they got like a Husky lifetime warranty
Yeah.
or whatever. Oh my gosh.
So you
Everybody should have a set of those.
so yes, that is the homework to you gentlemen. Each of us need to come up with a list of 5 things, and to you listeners out there, hopefully we can give you some ideas, but if nothing else, do your own research, see what your shop might need, and take a look around because this is a great time of year to pick up some of that stuff. So,
Russ, I think it's a great idea.
thank you,
Love
sir.
Black Friday.
I can't wait to hear what y'all come back with, man.
Yeah,
But
So-
yeah, also what a great opportunity to finish stocking my kit. 'Cause,
exactly.
right now I'm still using a lot of stuff from my shop, right?
Hmm.
And I do see the value in duplicating. Like, not having to
Absolutely.
worry. Yeah.
The amount of times that I'm like, oh my God, I really need like this one wrench or this one thing. And I'm like, I really need a set at home. And
Yes.
the amount of times that, like, to your point, Colton, somebody grabs it and they're like, oh, I'll just put it back in the junk drawer. And we have like a bunch of the screwdrivers in the junk drawer, but everything else is in there too. So you can't really find anything you need. That's a great thing to like always have a set in the junk drawer, always have a set in the garage, always have a set, in your car in case something goes wrong. Just little things to think of. So,
Right.
yeah,
That's a good one. Hey, also I got
Razor knives, razor
Yeah.
blades. Oh my god.
oh yeah.
You
Well,
can never
I mean,
find a pack of razor blades.
oh yeah. No, we keep razors everywhere. But you ever use the serrated razor?
yeah, they're
Yes.
not, they're great for drywall, but other than that, they suck.
They're
Yeah,
good for
like,
tar paper. But
They
that's
came
about
in
it.
handy for me today, actually, for when I was modifying some of that door. Like I had to lower
Yeah.
the piece, and like between a chisel and like that serrated razor blade, it came real handy for like this like weird particle board.
Okay.
Interesting.
But yeah,
So-
but oh, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh, screwdrivers.
Yeah.
So yeah, seems like everyone like just gets like the normal screwdriver set, right? Why why not get the screwdrivers with like the head interchangeable and just have a big bit set and
That's how
one
people do it.
screwdriver?
You'd be
Like
surprised. So think of it this way. When you are at home and let's say you're just playing home handyman, trying to fix a bunch of random stuff around the house. If you have to, let's say you are putting in a new ceiling fan or putting in a new light fixture on the ceiling, there are times where you're like, okay, I'm holding a light fixture with one hand and I need to
Yes.
reach into my pocket or my tool belt
Yes.
and grab the one screwdriver, put that one back and now grab a different screwdriver because part of
Fair.
it is, and if you're
Yeah.
holding, you don't have an extra hand to change things.
The lengths too. Because like
Yes.
a P2, like you need a stubby, you
Yes.
need like a
Mm.
medium one, you need one of those really long ones for a screw.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I do like the ones, but I tend to lose all the bits because who puts the bit back in the little hole?
Correct.
Oh, I
And
always put the bit back.
the other thing is,
I don't lose bits.
Sure you do.
Yeah.
the other thing is always make sure if you can, unless you are buying electrical specific screwdrivers, always buy the ones that have a magnetic tip to them.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You
That
know what
will
I
help
want
you more than you realize.
that I haven't seen in any of the stores? You know what a through screwdriver is? So
Yes.
it's metal on the back and it goes all the way through so that way, like if you have a rusted screw, you can put it in there and smack it and it'll
Yeah.
help loosen the screw
Yeah,
by
you're not
breaking
cracking
the
your handle when you hammer it.
Yeah.
Right. The rubber ones don't do that.
Yeah.
When I started my handyman business, however many years ago that was before when I was married. We went on a Black Friday and I got 6 shopping carts full of stuff at Home Depot. And basically all the tools that I needed, really, like sawhorses. I got a cheap chop saw
Yeah.
and like everything you think of. And it was like $1,900, I think, which paid like in 2 jobs, paid for
Yeah.
all that stuff. But that was a great day. I think I need to do that again.
Yeah. See, so it's a
Right
good
on.
thing to think about.
Do you
All
think
right,
you get a
let's.
better deal going into the store than like buying
There are
online?
there are
Mm,
definitely different deals put out there. You'll find
sure.
better deals on larger items online. A lot of the little things like the screwdrivers and shears and wrenches and stuff,
Outrageous.
they have pre-done packets of them that it's just easier to walk in and be like, I need this and this and this and this, and walk out. If you do
Yeah.
it online, you may or may not get whenever they're able to pick it, you may not be able to get it. So,
Uh, okay.
all
Because
right.
like it seems like our Thanksgivings are still packed. Trying to get everywhere, see
I
everything,
think that's
and
why they're
like
trying to do it
we
ahead of
don't
time
really
now.
do
Yeah.
like shopping. Right?
Yeah. They do have a lot of them out before Black Friday just for that reason, because people were traveling, people weren't always able to make the sales. So take a look in this week leading up to it. Even if you're like, hey, Crystal, I really just want to go look at, I got to get some more paper towels for the house or whatever. She'll be like, why are we getting them at Home Depot? Well, I mean, because I like their paper towels. And then you can
They're
take a
on
look at them.
sale. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right.
Uh,
Before we give away all the secrets, let's get into some advice.
Nuggets!
It's nuggets.
Jess, is that getting easier for you to listen to? You
I
like
do
it?
enjoy it. I do enjoy
I love I think it's perfect. Yeah,
it.
dude, good job
uh,
on the edit on that, Ross. I like it
Thank
a
you.
lot.
yeah, it's
Appreciate
good
it.
timing. So my snugget nugget,
Okay.
my both at the same time. Don't
Go chasing
be
waterfalls.
unreliable.
Ah, yes.
Do not be unreliable. Everybody know life happens, and yeah, of course, there's but anybody that starts playing, and I've been through this with my dad, stucco companies. I've been through this when I worked at a restaurant. I've been through this, and everybody thinks they're different. And then there's always the people that it doesn't have to do with their life, it just has to do with the choices that they've made in the
Hmm.
past and present, that they think stuff just happens to them and it's just the world out to get them, and it's not. You're late, you get a flat tire, like what? Like, listen, it's because you didn't maintain your car. There's always a reason. You can usually blame yourself for it, and
Hmm.
realistically so. Think about your past decisions. Why do you have any money? Well, you spent it on this when you should have spent it on this, or you didn't. You should have not spent it, or whatever. And um, don't
Yeah,
be unreliable. Don't be unreliable with your customers. And if something goes wrong, just communicate. Hey, this went wrong. I messed this up. I'm fixing it right now. It's going to be an extra couple days. Or, if you're going to be at the customer's house at 8 a.m., then you should be there at 7:45.
Hmm.
Not early or late. Like, you should be reliable as best as you can, because that stuff, that stuff right there, the kind of people that wake up, have their lunch ready for the next day or get it ready, and we're talking about work at least, and get to work on time or early, and are prepared, and just all make their bed. Those are the kind of people that things just go okay. They go better for you than they do for other people, because you're
They've
in the
thought
right
out.
place at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get their life is much more settled. Stuff still goes wrong, people still have bad weeks and months and stuff, but for the most part, um, be reliable. Don't blame everything on something else. Look to yourself, and
yeah, complete
be,
ownership.
be take complete ownership. Absolutely.
Hmm. I like it. I like it. I had my nugget and I lost it because I got lost in
The
in.
sprayer.
No, actually. Oh, I know what it is. So the sprayer was going to be my nugget, but I thought of another one. My nugget for everybody is um, when you are putting out a quote or an estimate to your customers, the
Hmm.
best thing you can do is put in on a separate Excel file, however you don't normally do your pricing. Put together a materials list, how much you're going to need, how much it's going to cost, and literally copy and paste that entire material list, including your labor, into the breakdown of the customization of whatever this piece is, so people can see when it says $2,080 for a desk. They go, why the hell would it be so much? And you go, here's literally everything, every screw, every domino. This is exactly what I'm going to need. Since I have started doing that, I have a 100% conversion on every estimate. So,
Really?
yes, in fact, I started doing it about 6 months ago, just putting it in there so that people could see because they were like, these prices, they seem kind of high. Like, I feel like I could get something a lot less expensive. And you're like, okay, cool. Here's a breakdown of every itemized thing that I'm going to need. And you can see exactly what it is to see where my costs are and how much I'm actually making. And know that out of this $2,000, I'm actually only making 400 for my labor. So you can do whatever you want. I can get those materials for you and just drop them at your front door. But if you want to put together, that's where this is coming in. And then the markup is the difference. So once they see that breakdown, it's a simple conversion difference to where customers no longer question. The other thing I will say is if your pricing breakdown has every item ends in like 99. So instead of $27, you're like, oh, these screws are $26.99 and these dominoes are $13.99 and these are, then they're like, that looks pretty made up. But if you put in like screws, 358, and I need 4 boxes of those, and you're like, okay, even if it is, let's say, 350 or 349, if you change it to an odd number, people are like, that looks oddly specific,
Yes.
and it doesn't have to be a
Really,
drastic
even versus
change.
odd.
Yes, because when people see the
Oh.
99 on everything, they figure that you made it up. Whereas
Yeah.
if you say it is, this specific dollar amount, they're like, okay, well, that's what it shows. I don't know exactly, but looks like he did the research. So,
Like when we bid jobs, if it's like it's going to take like $10,000, we don't say 10,000 ever.
no.
We'll say 10,302.
Yeah.
Like never with the 10, like even number, even if it's just like $20 or
Yeah.
$23, like because
Mm.
because really sometimes the bidding process on larger jobs, especially, it's kind of a crapshoot. To be
Yes.
honest with you, like you're not exactly sure how many days it's going to take. You're not exactly sure how much materials it's going to take. You can get a good guess,
Yeah.
but it's more about your time and then like a percentage of a guess of materials. So you just kind of round it up.
Yep.
But yeah, customers like it when you can put some change on there. It really mess with them.
Exactly. So I do that as well. But putting, the extra icing on the cake is putting uh, a PDF version of the Excel file, or not the Excel file, the SketchUp file, the drawing, so they can see it from different
Oh
directions.
my god, they
You
love it.
you put that on there with the itemized list, and they're like, "Done. Here, take my money."
Not to
So,
Yeah,
change the
well, it just
subject,
seems so professional.
not to
mhm.
change the subject, but I saw that SketchUp and I had a problem with it saying I was logged out of my account, but you could click this link and share it with someone and it would take them to a website where it's uploaded your SketchUp and they could actually click and drag through it.
Mhm.
Have you ever used that?
Yes, I use that quite a bit. It's just a SketchUp viewer or the
They don't have
online
to have
version.
SketchUp. Yeah.
No, they do not. So it just takes them to sketchup.com. You upload your product to the cloud, and
Yeah.
then anybody can see it.
That's cool. I'll try it.
Yeah. It does. People start to like nitpick on those. So be a little careful with that because they'll zoom in and be like, oh, this is amazing. What about this little detail? And how about that? And you're like, oh,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
calm down there, Karen.
I gotcha.
The still images still tend to work better.
Okay.
So yeah.
Right on.
Colton, what do you got?
Man, so I got a nugget, which may seem obvious, but I don't know, could save somebody. So before you apply color, whether you're doing like a glaze or a stain or it's even like a blush or what toner or whatever, um, we're having to get our guys to do it, like making sure they do it before. Which we're doing a lot of color matching,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so a lot of time that's you gotta be spot on.
Yep.
And so, well, actually, like, so we have a big bin full of veneers, right?
Yep.
And you grab a veneer of the same wood you're working with, and at least the same tone, same color.
Yeah.
And you apply the stain to that. But it's more than like say you're trying to stain, and you think that the red mahogany stain is going to match this, and the piece of mahogany. You grab a piece of mahogany, but you have to do a little extra step. You have to spray the finish on it too. Right, so grab like a rattle can of satin lacquer,
Sure.
and after dipping it in the stain, and yeah, it helps. You're like, oh, that was not the right stain, or maybe we do the stain, but then plan to tone it after, and yeah, it's been pretty helpful.
So you can also do that if you don't have a veneer piece. Obviously, scrap woods from that same
Yeah.
piece that you're working with. It's a great way to test your finishes.
Yeah.
So
Which we're typically not building on our pieces
Yeah.
in the furniture repair world. So, but yeah, exactly, scrap wood, etc. But
well, I like it. Well, gentlemen, is there anything else you want to cover off on this episode?
No, I haven't really talked about what I've got going on, but it's nothing very in particular. We just finished a big built-in. We're going to put some pictures up of that, and I started.
all right.
And we're going to be doing some remodeling soon, so
Cool.
everybody stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I want to see some before and afters.
Yeah, I'll show you my kitchen.
Cool.
That's a really big remodel.
Okay.
So
Nice. All right, gentlemen. Well, I think that is a good place to, cut things off. So to the listeners out there, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening to this podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. We hope you enjoyed every second of this episode. If you didn't, please send all your complaints to our Flying Swordsman legal representation at Mr. Lee Mubai's Sorcery and Law Partners, where their motto is no growth without assistance, no action without reaction, no desire without restraint. Now give yourself up and find yourself again. For Jess, Colton, and Ross, this has been the Beat Around the Bench podcast. We will catch you all next time.
see ya.
Woo!